We already covered Thanksgiving. What if they? But what if they were to expand a little bit? What if we had? What if NASCAR fans had the ultimate gift, and they would have a race on Christmas? What if they were to have a race on Christmas? What if they were to have two races on Christmas? Have a race on Christmas Eve, and have a race on Christmas Day. Which track will they go to? Well, I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the track that the selected tracks that NASCAR will go to if they were have a race on Christmas and the race on Christmas Eve and a race on Christmas Day. I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the format, and then I'm going to talk about how to get in and how drivers will get in. The first, it doesn't matter what day of the week. It doesn't matter what day of the week Christmas is on. The race will be scheduled. The race will always be scheduled on Christmas. The race will always be scheduled on Christmas Day, no matter what day of the week is on. No matter what day of the week Christmas Day falls on, the race will always be scheduled on Christmas. If they were to do a race on Christmas, the race will always be scheduled on Christmas Day, no matter what day of the week Christmas. No matter what day of the week Christmas is on. No matter what day of the week Christmas Eve is on, that race on Christmas Eve is going to be scheduled on the day of Christmas Eve and on the day of Christmas Day. If NASCAR was to do a race was to have a race on Christmas, which track? The biggest question is, which track will host that race? Which track will host a race on Christmas? Where they go to Bristol? Where they have a race on Christmas night at Bristol? At Bristol Motor Speedway. Yeah, Bristol would be perfect. Yeah, Bristol would be perfect for a race on Christmas, especially on Christmas night. Especially if they were to do a race on Christmas night at Bristol. Yeah, Bristol would be a perfect track to go to on Christmas. What if they were to do? But however, what if NASCAR wants to plan to have a race? What if NASCAR wants to plan to have that race on at a bigger track, like Daytona? What if they want to have a race on? What if they want to have that race at Daytona? At the high banks of Daytona. The track lost the clash. Why not have a Christmas date at Daytona? Have a 70 lap, have a 200 lap, have a 200 miler at Daytona. 80 laps. Yeah, the race would be 80 laps. The qualifiers would be 100 miles. The twin 100s, like they used to do what they used to do back when the track first opened. In my opinion, I've picked three tracks. I picked three tracks actually. I picked either Daytona, Charlotte, or Bristol. The reason why I picked those three tracks because they both have night races. So you know Martinsville has night races too, and so does Atlanta. The tracks I really pick if NASCAR was to do a race on Christmas, the tracks that I really pick for that race, either Daytona, Charlotte, or Bristol. In my opinion, I think they should have a race on New Year's Eve too, to close out the year. And have racing on New Year's Eve too. And I think the New Year's Eve race should definitely be at Bristol. I think Bristol should host a race at New Year's Eve. Like if we were to have racing on New Year's Eve, definitely need to have it at Bristol Motor Speedway. The race should happen from 10 o'clock. The race should start The green flag should fly. The green flag should come out at 10 o'clock at night, and the checkered flag should come out at midnight to close out the year. It'll be at least the race distance has to be at least 200 to 300 laps at Bristol. Has to be at least a 200 lap or a 300 lap race. Halfway break would be at lap 150 to make sure the race ends at 12 o'clock midnight. The green flag should come out at 10 o'clock. The green flag should fly 2 hours before the clock strikes midnight at New Year's Eve, which means the green flag should come out, which means drivers will line up for the green flag at 10 o'clock. The green flag drops at the drivers line up for the green flag at 9:55. The green flag flies at 10 o'clock to start the race at New Year's Eve. The halfway, the competition caution will come out at the halfway point, leading up to the break. Then the green flag will come out again to close out the race. To close out the last 150 laps. But the Christmas date, if we were to have racing on Christmas, we know the New Year's Eve race, and you know the New Year's Eve date has to be at Bristol. Bristol has to have if we were to have racing on New Year's Eve, Bristol needs to host that race. What if we have Christmas at Bristol? In the undercart, and they have paint schemes, and each of the drivers that compete in that race have glorious paint schemes, has glorious Christmas paint schemes to compete in that race. In my opinion, the track that should host that race will most likely be either Charlotte or Daytona. And like if they were to have the Christmas date at Daytona, because I've been visualizing the Christmas day race at Daytona to be held at Daytona, a full distance race at Daytona, like 160 laps, like a 160 lapper at Daytona on Christmas, which is plausible. I visualized having racing on Christmas being held at Daytona. Christmas paint schemes going in the high banks at Daytona. If they were to have racing on Christmas at Daytona. They have Christmas paint schemes, racing in the high banks. If they were to have that date held, if they were to have racing on Christmas held at Daytona, the Christmas Eve race should be 100-mile qualifiers, 40 laps each, and the race itself should be 80 laps, 200 miles. If they were to have that race held at Daytona. But if they want to have, however, what if NASCAR wants to hold that? What if NASCAR wants to have that race in Charlotte? Have the same format as they used to do with the Open, with the All-Star Open, at the qualifiers. The qualifiers should be 50 laps each. If they were to have a race, if they were to host that race at Charlotte, qualifiers should be 50 laps each. The race itself. Here's where I do the format. The format of the actual race itself at Charlotte. on Christmas. Stage 1 should be 50 laps. Stage 1 should be 50 laps. Caution laps count. 50 laps. 50 laps for stage 1. Stage 2 should be 40 laps. Caution laps count in stage 2. First 3 stages done. Drivers must make a mandatory 2-tire pit stop. They must, no matter where they finish, each driver must make a mandatory 2-tire stop in both the qualifiers and both the race. After stage 2, at the end of stage 2, drivers have to make a mandatory 2-tire stop. Then the green flag will fly for stage 3. Stage 3 would be 25 laps. Only green flag laps count for stage 3. And the final stage should be a 10-lap shootout. All green flag laps count. And the race must end under green no matter what in the 10-lap shootout. If they were to have it at Daytona, 2 stages, 2 40-lappers, break the 80-lap event, 40 laps, break, drivers must make a mandatory 2-tire stop. And then the green flag will fly at lap, then the green flag will fly at lap 40. With 40 to go. And then the race will end at lap 80. The winner's purse, the winner will get, the winner's purse is the same the winner's purse is the same as the All-Star. $1 million. $1 million. The same purse goes for Thanksgiving. Winner's purse, same thing goes for Thanksgiving. For both holidays. $1 million. For the driver who wins that race. For both Christmas and Thanksgiving. In my opinion, the final verdict on which track should host the race, the exhibition race on Christmas. If you were to do racing on Christmas, if they were to be racing on Christmas, the final verdict, I will choose. The final verdict will be. It'll most likely be Charlotte. Charlotte needs to host Charlotte Motor Speedway for Christmas. If we were to have racing on Christmas, it needs to be held at Charlotte. That's the final verdict. First day, Christmas Eve. Yeah, Christmas Eve also needs to be held at Charlotte. The same track. 2 50-lap qualifiers. The drivers have to race their way in to the race on Christmas Day. They have to race their way in on Christmas Eve. The driver who finishes third or better gets into the race on Christmas. Stage 1, 50 laps. Stage 2, 40 laps. Stage 3, 25 laps. The final stage to close out the race, 10-lap shootout, and the race must end under green no matter what. No matter what, the race must end under green. And the drivers who automatically get in, the same thing that you get into the race on Thanksgiving. The drivers who score the most the drivers who qualify from the pole throughout the entire season. The drivers who qualify from the pole position throughout the entire season. In the past champion. The drivers who qualify from the pole automatically gets in The driver